Let's all go live in a Christmas movie where the bakery's saved and the snow falls smoothly.
All right, we are back with another episode of 12 Days of Ugly Sweaters and Christmas Movie Tropes. I'm Heather, and this is Darius, lifelong friends, and we are here to just dish on this year's Hallmark movie new release season. And so today we're reviewing Christmas on Duty. Darius, what was like your first hot take on this one?
My first, I'm going to be a little bit shallow from the jump. My first take on this one was, can we? I know it's Christmas time. I realize where they are, but it was just the setting to me was just so dreary. I was like, oh gosh, please let this have more energy because just seeing gray skies throughout this movie is not really going to do it for me. So that was my first take. Other than that, it's another relatable Hallmark movie. And I kind of got into it a little bit later, but yeah, my first take was, okay, all right, let's see where this goes.
So I'm gonna tell you, my first take was a little rougher than that, and it's probably because I have a spouse with a military background. He's a veteran, and so from jump, they're allegedly competing for an infantry position.
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't know how much you know about the military, but you don't have to compete for an infantry position. You can
Uh-huh.
get an 80 on the ASVAB and get an infantry position. It's not something that you have to have some kind of big competition for. In
And
fact, people are
such as an
usually
obstacle course, an
right,
obstacle
right,
course of all things.
right, and being like ranked, right? And I'm pretty sure that they don't rank the men against the women. They actually have different standards. So I get why they did it, right? I get to compete, but like, can we do just a little bit of research, especially since this was essentially a giant USAA commercial anyway? Could we just maybe get that part right about, because, and it wasn't what made it worse is like they kept repeating it through the whole movie. You took my infantry position. She
Yeah,
took your infantry position.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just can't get over the fact that you, I mean,
yeah.
I can't get over the fact that you guys got this so wrong. So I'm not gonna lie, it made it a little hard for me to get into the movie. Um,
Okay, okay.
and I did think the cheese factor, like we actually love the cheese factor, right? Like
We
that's one
do,
of the
we
things
do.
we love about these movies. But
Yeah.
like it was so high because also literally within the first 5 minutes, they're spending at least 120 seconds on USAA and her retired general dad who can't believe that the USAA ice scrapers are free.
See, only you would really catch that, Heather. Only you would really catch that.
Well, and get hung up on it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But as with any Hallmark movie, there actually were like a lot of super relatable parts. And as much as I had to say about Royal Montana Christmas having being a little too shallow for me in some places,
Hmm.
I actually thought that in this one they did kind of a good job of looking at like some more like real world issues, like real family dynamic struggles. And so I thought that balanced out the extreme cheese and the bad research.
Okay, okay, fair enough, fair enough. Now, in as far as the believable and the relatable parts, um, it all comes down, of course, to wanting children to not be disappointed on Christmas Day, right? And the lengths that adults will go to ensure that children are not disappointed on Christmas Day. So that's where it brought me in and made me kind of forget some of the other things that I didn't love about it. It was like, yeah, we would all do that. We would find out what can we do to make this happen for these kids. And that's what drew me in was when they found out that, hey, nobody else can really make this trip other than us. We need this vehicle, blah, blah, blah. Let's go, let's make this happen. And, they have some things happen along the way, which are a little comical, and I like that aspect of it. But that's the part that was the best for me is just, yeah, we all would do that for children.
Yeah. And see, this is why two perspectives are always so good on anything, right? Because as you're saying it, I'm reliving it going, oh, yeah, like all that was there and it was relatable. But when I was watching it, I was not seeing that part of it. When I was watching it, what I was catching was I super resonated with the fact that he found it really hard to ask for help in any situation that he was in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
his dad had always had these really high expectations of him. And so I personally have a hard time asking for help. It doesn't have anything to do with parental expectations, but just I resonated just with that struggle of his, right? And he
Okay.
would literally almost self-sabotage
Yeah.
over not wanting to ask for help, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I really identified with her. Her identity was really tied up like in her performance, right? And so while I wasn't ever in the military, just married somebody who was, you
Yeah.
know, I can identify with that, like my identity being tied up in work or school or that kind of thing.
Right.
So that and the family dynamic stuff, I just thought they actually did do a really good job, even if they clearly had a production budget of a USAA commercial.
Right. Right. They definitely did. Was like, can somebody let us borrow some things here? I mean,
I know.
oh my
You're like,
gosh.
wait, this is a Hallmark movie? Are you sure? Can
I promise you, I thought the same thing, Heather. And I was like, yeah, this really is a Hallmark movie. Yeah, the budget on this one was clearly lacking, clearly lacking. Um, I'll tell you another part of it though that I did like was the fathers, and this little thing that they had going on, and that is kind of a reflection or makes you think back to Romeo and Juliet, the Montague and the
Oh,
Capulets, right? So
yeah,
you got her dad and his dad with this history going back. And because of their history of being competitive toward each other, it's like, well, we don't want our children to like each other either. I like how they brought that in. Again, it hits on that nostalgia for me.
yes.
And so, when I caught on to that, I was like, here we go with a little Romeo Juliet intertwined here. So I like that.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Good point. All right, so overall, Darius, how many nutcrackers do you give this one?
On this one, unfortunately, even though I like those parts that I mentioned, I'm going to have to go down to a two on this one. There's my two. I'm going to have to go down to a two on this one. The budget part was huge for me because even like I said, just looking at this movie with this gray background all the time and all of this and everything I understand it's military, but the fatigues and, just everything, there was nothing that brightened it for me. And so it just had me in that mood. So I have to give it a two.
All right. I want to be as generous as you have been with your two, especially since we called out all these great points about relatability and how well they handled like dynamics and certain struggles. But I'm going to have to give it a one. I'm going to have to
Okay.
give it one peppermint swirl pop
Gotcha.
because I literally could not get past the whole infantry thing and the budget thing. Like those two things combined eclipsed everything else in that movie for me, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
This,
you make a really valid point with the infantry part of it. Someone who is not that connected to the military may not get it,
yeah,
but when you see a movie that is based on or has something to do with the military, it probably makes military families want to see it, or people with a military history or experience want to see it, and they're going to catch what you caught and more,
yeah.
about not being quite so accurate. So I definitely understand your point with that.
All right. So there you have it. That is our hot take on Christmas on Duty from this year's Hallmark season. And we will be back tomorrow with another episode of 12 Days of Ugly Sweaters and Christmas Movie Tropes.
Have a good
Bye.
one, guys.
Let's all go live in a Christmas movie where the bakery sailed down the snow falls smoothly. Trade the big city rush for a hometown glow. Under mistletoe magic, love will grow.